So the next thing we have is solving absolute value inequalities, and we're going to have two different types. We're going to have problems with absolute value when we have less than or equal to, and these are going to become like our and compound inequalities that we had in section 2.5. So when that happens, what you're going to do is you're going to take your absolute value, ax plus b, keep the less than c, and you're just going to add over here our negative c. So you're going to have both types, our variable in the middle like we've had before. We'll set up that equation. If we have greater than or equal to, these are going to become or compound inequalities. So when we do this, we need to write two inequalities. You're going to take ax plus b less than negative c, or ax plus b is greater than c. This should be a greater than sign in here. Fix that on your notes. I have it right. So then if you have the greater than, we will make our two inequalities. So we're going to do some examples where you're just going to have to choose which one it is. So here we have less than. So that was like our first one that we did. So that means I keep my x minus 5 less than 6. And when it's less than already, I'm just going to change this to less than and put a negative 6 over here. Then we just solve. We need to get x by itself in the middle. We're going to add 5. We're going to do that in all three places. So we get negative 1 is less than x is less than 11. We have x by itself. If we were to write this in interval notation, remember with our parentheses, this would be negative 1 to 11 with parentheses as an answer. You may be asked to graph it on your homework assignment, and we've already learned how to do that, so that should not be hard for you. Part B, this one has a greater than or equal, so this is a or one. Whenever it's or, we're going to have to set up two inequalities. Okay, but before we do that, we need to get this inequality all by itself right here. So our first thing I need to do is subtract the 4. So you get the absolute value, x minus 3 is greater than or equal to 6. And now we set up our two inequalities. Again, this is greater than, so this means or, so we're going to set up x minus 3 is greater than or equal to 6, or x minus 3 is less than or equal to negative 6. Flip the sign, make the c a value negative. Solve both equations. We're going to add 3 to both sides here, so x is greater than or equal to 9, or if I add 3 on this equation, inequality, x is less than or equal to negative 3. So remember this when we write it in interval notation, when we have the ors, when we have to have two sets of parentheses. So it's always going to go from negative infinity to our smallest number, which is negative 3. It has an equal, so it's a bracket. Then we use our union sign. Starts again at 9 with a bracket to infinity for our interval notation. All right, here's another one. Again, the first thing you want to do whenever you're solving absolute values is get this absolute value part right here by itself. So the first thing we'll do, think about solving an equation, is subtract the 5. So 2 absolute value of x plus 1 is greater than or equal 13 minus 5 is 8. We have this 2 outside. We need to divide then by 2. Absolute value of x plus 1 is greater than 4. And then, oops, my absolute value. We have a greater than sign, so that means or. So we set up two equations. You're going to have x plus 1 is greater than 4, or x plus 1 is less than negative 4. Solve both equations. So subtract 1. X is greater than 3, or subtract 1 here. X is less than negative 5. Interval notation again. Starts at negative infinity. We go to our smallest number, which is negative 5. It's going to be a parenthesis because there's no equals. Union, again, it starts at 3 and goes to infinity for our final answer. Part D, I have a fraction. I need to get rid of that fraction because only the top is an absolute value. To get rid of the fraction, you're going to multiply by what's on bottom. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 3. So these 3's cancel. I have absolute value 7 minus 2x is less than or equal to 3. Less than or equal is an and. So when we have and, we're going to do 7 minus 2x is less than or equal to 3. And then less than or add our less than or equal over here and negative 3 on this side. We want to get x by itself in the middle. So we will subtract the 7. Negative 10 less than or equal to negative 2x less than or equal to negative 4. We need to divide by -2 everywhere. And then remember, so -10 divided by -2 is 5. When I'm dividing by a negative, I have to flip this sign. So I'm going to change the direction. X, these cancel. Change my direction again, +2. When the X is in the middle, and then we write our 1 in interval notation with parentheses, they both have equals. Remember, it's always smallest number to largest number for our final answer. Couple more and then we'll be done. So if I look at part E, again, I need to get the absolute value right here by itself. So I'm going to subtract the 8. So I have absolute value of 2x minus 3 is less than -3. So think about this absolute value on this side, its absolute value, it has to always be positive. Less than -3, that can't happen. There's no way this number, it's always going to be a positive number, can be less than a negative. So this one is a no solution, because you can't have a positive, an absolute value be less than a negative number. Part F over here, we need to, again, get the the absolute value by itself. So the first thing I need to do is get rid of this 3 out front, so I'm going to subtract it. So negative absolute value of 2x plus 4 is less than or equal to -5. This negative out front is like having a -1 that we're multiplying. So I need to divide by the -1. Absolute value of 2x plus 4, when I divide by a negative, it flips that sign to greater than or equal to 5. This is greater than, this is an or, so I need to set up my two inequalities. I'm going to have 2x plus 4 greater than or equal to 5, or 2x plus 4 less than or equal to -5. Solve both equations, subtract the 4. So 2x is greater than or equal to 1. Divide by 2, x is greater than or equal to 1/2. Or if I do the second inequality, subtract the 4. 2x is less than or equal to -9. Divide by the 2. Not the x, divide by the 2. X is less than or equal to -9/2. Interval notation, again, it always starts with -infinity. This one, our smallest number, is -9/2 with a bracket. Union bracket again starts at 1/2 and goes to +infinity. And that is our absolute value inequalities and equations. Please let me know if you have any questions.